Hey everybody. You know, I was just kind of rewatching some of what Zero Nazarite did with his Transformers videos, where he talked about basically when he did a lot of these multi-part ones, and I know he hasn't gotten yet to the Shout Factory versions or even what I have here in the movies. But I thought I'd kind of give a little background though on my history as far as, like, say, the Family Home Entertainment VHSs and the Kid Rhino ones go. Yeah, just get that in position. But as far as the Kid Rhino ones go, and first of all, the Family Home Entertainment ones, as a kid, I would always want to get. And I'm sorry for the car alarm in the background, I don't know whose it is. But I always liked them. Every time me and my family went to a video store, the one video I would always want to rent is a Transformers VHS. So, and this was at the time when they still had, like you showed, Sean, the big boxes of VHS boxes. So I had those in my collection. I had those in my collection. Well, not in my collection, but I had those. I should say, I had those to rent, when I could. But sometimes they'd be in, and sometimes they wouldn't be in, because you got to imagine, like you said, at that time, VHSs, the Transformer VHSs would fly off the shelf. So when I could get one, I would, and I couldn't, I wouldn't. Anyway, later on, as you mentioned, I think they re-released them. Just checking to see whether there's a truck going by there. Because I thought that could have been my brother-in-law. But anyway, they re-released them, as you said, in these little, same artwork and everything, but they were smaller, more compact-sized VHS cases that normally you would see from that time forward. So anyway, my cousin had, not the big ones, but he had the gray ones. And I would borrow them at times to watch and take them back to him and all that. And I've always wanted to have them. So one day, not one day, but one Christmas, I think it was 89, 90 or something like that. I think it was 89. One Christmas, we were living down the road in Waterford, California, me and my family. And here was the unique thing about my family. Even though we lived in Waterford, and some of my cousins and relatives lived in Tracy, we would all still go down to Hayward. We would all still go down to Hayward, California, to my grandparents and do a gift exchange. Nowadays, with our families spread out all over the place, and so we do gift exchange within the family, and then just take the gifts and do the gift exchange on Christmas. But the thing was, back then, we would do a gift exchange at my grandparents in Hayward, California. So one day, on that gift exchange, basically what the parents do, because I was at an age still, and I'm not going to deny this, that I was at an age still, and I'm not going to deny this, where I still believed in the jolly bearded man, the jolly white bearded man in the red suit. If you know what I mean. I still believed, and still do, for the benefit of the kids in my family. But you get the idea when I say still believed at that moment in 1989. So I still believed at that time. And I think my sisters were kind of getting wise to the truth behind the jolly white bearded man in the red suit. And I was getting close to it, I just didn't acknowledge it yet. But again, like I said, my older sister pretty much had an idea, pretty much knew the truth, and I think my second older sister was getting towards that time as well. But anyway, being 10, I still believed. I still believed, and still do for the benefit of the kids, my nephews and great-nephews. But anyway, still believed. And through the magic of Christmas, if you will, the next day after basically with any gift exchange, we would always, the gifts would always be exchanged, put in little bags, taken to the cars, and we would take them home. Well, through the magic of Christmas, one day, not through the magic of Christmas, but the following day on that Christmas morning, I should say, we went into the living room, because we just lived in, it was a new house, fairly new house we lived in, and we went into the living room. I remember this very well. We went into the living room, and we saw all the presents that were around. And one of the presents I saw for me was stacked up like this. It was stacked up like this. And I kind of had an idea, but I wasn't sure. But I felt, and I'm thinking, it can't be. But I kind of had an idea, but I didn't. And it said to me from Santa. So I was a kid back then, like I said, and I still believed in the magic, if you will. So I looked around. And I looked around, but I looked at it more closely, and I decided finally to open it up. And I think it was one of the first ones I opened up. And lo and behold, through the magic of Christmas, if you will, I obtained the three VHS Transformer tapes that my cousin had. Basically, the gray box re-release of the same volumes that you talked about from the big boxes. So I was so happy to get those, and I constantly watched them. I really did. Unfortunately, as time went on, they suffered some damage. I think maybe there's one left in good condition, but it's just a cassette, and I think it's in Kansas. But the rest, suffered, and I don't know what happened. I don't know if they're still in good condition. I don't know what happened. They just went out the window. The benefit, though, the silver lining, though, is I now have the Rhinomation and the Shout Factory releases of G1. So thank God for that. And speaking of VHSs, though, as you mentioned in the early 99s and 2000s, Kid Rhino would bring out re-releases of the VHSs, and some of them would be of the episodes we had before, thanks to courtesy of Family Home Entertainment, but others would be of releases that we had not had. Now, speaking of Family Home Entertainment, kind of a short story here. When I went back and lived with my dad in Kansas in '94, one of the first VHS tapes I recorded, or copied, if you will, was Return of Optimus Prime. I'm not lying. Me and my dad on occasions would go to Topeka, Kansas. We lived in Oskaloosa, but on occasions we would go to Topeka, do a little shopping, like for groceries and all that, and we'd stop into the Blockbuster there. So I remember every time I would go into a Blockbuster, the first section I'd go to would either be the sports section, the special interest section, which would have WWE or WWF or WCW stuff, or I would go around into the cartoon section, the kids' family section. And I remember going into the kid family section one day, and I looked down, because I would go alphabetically to see what they had, and I would look down, and lo and behold, I saw Return of Optimus Prime, and I rented it. And then, of course, we had a video store in town that allowed you to rent VCRs. So I rented a VCR, and within that time that I rented that VHS, I recorded or copied Return of Optimus Prime to my own VHS copy. So there you go. But again, I don't know I think that VHS that I copied it on is in Kansas still. But thankfully, thanks to a DVD, if you will, Rhino and Shout Factory, I don't have to worry about that right now. But anyway, that's what I did. That's what I did. And then later on in '99 and mostly 2000, when I started to live on my own, what was that? Hold on for a second. Hold on, what that was? Sorry about that, Sean. Sorry about that, everybody. Someone must have slammed the door really hard. It's kind of windy outside. But anyway, like I said, when I started living on my own in 2000, I lived right next door. Well, not right next door, but basically across the way, sort of corner-wise. Like here was my apartment. Here's where I lived. And over here, across the street, in the corner section, was the Hastings. So I would go in there, and one day when I went in there, I noticed that they had Transformer VHS tapes, and they were all by Rhino. Well, actually, I figured that out basically. Well, actually, what it was, I went in there to see if they had any. I should say. Let me correct myself. I went in to see if they had any, because what happened was, me and my dad went to the mall one time, the Westridge Mall in Topeka, Kansas. And I think we were just, we went in there, I think we were doing some shopping or something, I don't know what it was. Looking for something, I can't remember. And I remember going into, I think it was a Suncoast store. And I looked down to look at the Suncoast, and I looked around to see what they had, and I looked down, and lo and behold, as I looked down, I saw that they had Transformers the movie. And I said to myself, that's impossible. So I picked it up, and it said Kid Rhino on the side. So basically what happened is later on, my grandma, she didn't really have to do this. She was kind enough to help me out with this, and financially helped me out with this, and I was able to obtain my first VHS copy of Transformers the movie. Now, this was not the special collector's edition as far as I know, because this, when I put it in, and I don't know if this is the same way, I don't think it is, but when I put it in, it essentially had the scrolling part, that they would have for the UK. And I thought that was kind of cool. I'm thinking, oh, it has to be special edition. And like I said, I don't know if it's this one that has it, or if it was that one, but it was kind of cool. I thought it was kind of cool that they did that. So again, there goes my dog in the background. I'm sorry about that. But again, she helped me out with that. And then one day, I went to Hastings, because what it had on the inside was this. Well, this is an advertisement for music and all that, but still. It had something like this, and it advertised that it had the other Transformer volumes. So I went into Hastings, but like I said, which was like here's where I lived. Here's where they were. So I went into Hastings one day. I think it was I think it was Hastings in 2000. Just to see what they had, just to see what the store was like. And I went in there, and they had Transformers the movie. They had the Transformer volumes in one section. Not all of them, but they had them. And one of the things you could do there, obviously you could do it with Amazon now, but one of the things you could do there, and you could still do, is special order them. It's like if they didn't have them, they would be able to look online, say, oh yeah, we can get it for you, special order it, there you go. And I was able to special order it. Sometimes I'd go on this little computer thing, coax machine, if you will, search for it and order it like that, or I'd have them do it for me. So I would, basically through the help of Hastings, I was able to obtain, I think probably just as much, if not probably a tape more, VHS tape more than what than what you had. So I had a nice collection of them. And I don't know if I sold them back to Hastings because of the fact that I got the Rhino DVDs, or it was the fact that I left them in Kansas and I still need to get them again. and I need to get them back basically. But anyway, I had the VHSs, I really did. And so I was kind of happy about that. And then later on, I heard that they were bringing out a special collector's edition of the movie on VHS, and I think it was through Hastings that I bought the special collector's edition of the movie. And essentially, it's right there. And I think this is where they did the starring spot. I think this was where they did the starring and all that. I'm not too sure. I don't know if it has the scrolling or whatever it was, but it basically it was uncut. And like I said, I don't know if this is the one that has the scrolling or was the one I had before, but it was one of them. And I was very happy to get this finally on VHS. And then later on, when I finally got my first DVD player, which was an Apex player, believe it or not, I had one of those big suckers, I finally was able to obtain it on DVD. And as you can see, the DVD and the VHS are essentially just the same cover. But the difference is, like I said, I don't know if the VHS one has the scrolling or not. The difference is, this doesn't have the scrolling. This is basically the starring and all that. It doesn't have the Star Wars-esque scrolling or anything like that. So, and of course on the inside it has the advertisement for the original soundtrack of Battle of the Planets. So that's pretty cool. Sorry about that. Let me check my time. But yeah, I basically had this was basically the first one, and of course, like you said, Sean, I got it because it's completely remastered, an edited version, has storyboards, and of course, an exclusive interview with Vince DiCola, who did the music. So yeah, got both of them. And then of course, as we all know, 2006, I started working around August of 2006 for Walmart, and it was ironically around this time that they were releasing this, the 20th anniversary of Transformers the movie. And and here's the thing, I thought to myself, oh great, I hear the re-release is coming, the 20th anniversary edition is coming, it's probably going to be Rhino. Nope, it was Sony BMG Home Entertainment that released it. As you can see, I got the testicular, or whatever you want to call it, the animated little cover that if you wanted to, you could slip in there like that, and it would work. But yeah, I got it. It's a 2-disc deal. And what's funny about this, and this is not the only time, I got this during the midnight release, as you can see. So, yeah. I got that during the midnight release, and I was very, very happy about it. Other things about Transformers that I had, I originally did have Rebirth when it was, released individually onto DVD, as well as I think I had Ultimate Doom. But again, like some of the DVDs and VHSs I've done in the past, I've had to sell it back because financially I needed money at that time. But yeah. All different versions, basically Transformers the movie up the wazoo, if you know what I mean. And I do mainly now watch this version right here. I mainly watch that version now. Because to me the Rhino one's good, but you always need like a backup. And the VHS one you want to have like for collectors, because sooner or later you're going to go into a Walmart or somewhere and the VHS tapes to record with are going to be gone, and that's it. Because they still sell them, but eventually those are going to be gone. I think we all know that. But yeah, that's essentially my Transformer movie collection. I mean, I know that Zernizer, you have a different version. You have other versions as well, like from the UK, you have your Canadian versions and stuff like that, and that's really cool. But to me, I ended up getting them finally and all that. And you know, unlike you, when this originally came out from Family Home Entertainment onto VHS, I wanted to get it. I really did. I really did. So yeah, I really wanted to get it. But anyway, I thought I'd just do this little video, kind of a response to what you did, Sean. And hopefully, Sean, when you get the time, I know you're really invested in Doctor Who right now, but when you get the time, I hope, like everybody else that follows you, you will be able to finish up your Transformers series of videos. So, till then, guys, God bless, take care, comment below if you like. I'll talk to you all later. Video responses are appreciated too.